I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I apologize in advance for any issues with my conducting the meetings, my first one, so apologies. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Mike? Second? Sean? All in favor? 4-0. Statements from residents?
None.
No statements from residents. Okay. No student staff recognitions. Old business. Dr. Cohen?
Thank you, Mr. Rose. I just wanted to take a moment to point out a change I'm making in the physical arrangement of meetings. Summer's a good time to make changes, and upon reflection in how we conduct our business in public, I thought it would be a good thing for me to have my team sitting away from the Board of Education dais, because these meetings are not administration meetings. They're not administration workshops. This is an opportunity for the board to conduct its business with our help, and it's an opportunity for the board to have an exchange of views, if it wants to, with members of the community. We're here to support the board and to support its discussion with residents in any way that the board chooses. So I think physically sort of makes that point and helps everyone to focus on the fact that these meetings are really for the board, and discussion that are sort of quasi-workshop can lead to misunderstandings and miscommunications if we're too heavily involved in back and forth between residents and board members. We're really here to prepare research and to come prepared to lend a hand to the board in making informed decisions. It's really the board's job, with the support of the community, to make judgments about what's good and bad. Our role is to give our professional advice and to provide the board with all the information it needs in order to make good decisions. So I thought it might be a good time to make that point by rearranging staff so that everybody really knows that this is a Board of Education meeting and not an administration workshop.
Okay, thank you. Okay, turf field installation bid award discussion?
Pretty straightforward, right? We got the bids, the lowest bidder. Tonight, Rob, we're going to decide moving forward what we're going to add. Can we talk about the low? I just have a couple questions for you guys, if you don't mind.
Excuse me, can I just make one comment?
Sure.
The resolution only has 6 add alternates listed,
There's 7 in the bid.
and there's 7. So we're going to have, for the 7th, we're going to have to work off the backup,
Right.
the bid tabulation, and the specs.
Yeah, I saw that. I was filling in against the other ones. Like,
Yeah. I thought there was only 6, sorry.
Ken, just a couple questions real quick. Looking at the bids, obviously Laser came in as the lowest as the base. The bottom, it says Sprint Turf DFE, $15,000. What does that mean?
That was, it's an alternative type of the synthetic blade of grass.
Okay,
So rather than it being a single fiber, these are considered dual fibers.
okay.
So that's really the only difference.
It's nicer.
Yeah, I think it kind of holds its fluff a little bit better, if you want to
Okay.
call it that.
Okay. And then the organic fill system and shock pad, $204,000. That's comprised of what we talked about, obviously not crumb rubber, going organic, but the add alternates in GC 1.5 and 1.6, that doesn't apply to us because we're getting.
Correct.
Right,
If you're
okay.
looking for
All right.
organic, then it comes with the shock pad, and that is above and beyond the base bid cost.
Okay, all right. I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, I'm satisfied with, the work, the rebid, the work that you guys did, the work that you guys did. Thank you very much. I'm ready to move forward and vote. Does anybody have anything they want to add? Any questions?
No, I think so we're gonna go with the add alternate GC 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4?
1.3, and 1.4, and 1.7,
1.7, right.
and 1.7.
Right. Yeah, that seems to be everything that we want.
Okay.
Seems to me to be the safest turf field that we can put in,
Absolutely, absolutely.
which is exactly what we want.
I would like to publicly thank that company on the add alternate GC 1-2. It was extremely nice and very heartfelt, and I do appreciate that Laser did that, so I want to say that publicly. So,
And the whole rebid process honestly worked out well in your favor.
Absolutely.
With the overall costs and savings across the ad alternate, so
timeline, what's
Even the
this?
base bid too, as well.
they did it alone
Yeah.
with 200,000.
Yeah. Right.
We hear this all the time. Now, we're doing all these projects, and everybody's constantly asking you guys, timelines, timelines, timelines. We passed this bid. Obviously, the contractor has to come in, and he has to give us his schedule. How, do we know what his schedule is?
Well, his schedule will be based on the schedule that Park East established,
Okay.
which I think was in November.
I think it was December 1.
Okay.
Completion date.
Okay.
Was the completion date?
Yep, and they're prepared to meet that date.
Okay,
If awarded this evening, they'll
Okay.
be prepared to start second week in August roughly.
second week in August. Okay, start to finish, so it's about 2 months, start to finish?
Yeah,
Weather
Okay. Weather permitting, everything
10 to
else?
12 weeks,
Okay.
10 weeks,
All right.
Derek, I
all weather contingent.
have a question for you about the process. People are starting to see how much disruption these kinds of projects bring to the district, and this one will be going on when school is in session. Could you give the board some idea how disruptive it will be? I understand there will be a couple hundred of runs of trucks to deal with the soil. How disruptive do you think that will be to the operation of the high school?
Well, first of all, what we do is we have them contain the job site with a 6-foot fence with windscreen around it, so they're isolated. They're in their own little zone. There is a tremendous amount of trucks that do come in and out during the process of the field being built. What we do is we identify the school's arrival and dismissal times, and we make sure the trucks are not coming in during those periods. And that's really the most that we could do to have it. There's also flagmen dealing with the OSHA standards. They have to have a flagman out to make sure that there's no accidents.
Thanks. Just wanted the board to be aware of this is
Absolutely.
the next big disruption that will be coming.
And the community has to realize we did a great thing with this pond, and we're moving forward, but there is going to be some hiccups, there's going to be some bumps, there's going to be some crowding. This is all part of it, so, hold on tight.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mark, I just have one question for you, if you don't mind. Football season.
Mark, would you come up to the...
We're throwing something else at you here, Mark, I'm sorry. Football season. Obviously, home games, it's going to be a problem.
Correct.
What are we doing for that?
At this point, I consulted with Coach Milheiser to get his
Okay.
opinion.
Okay.
And we both decided the best at this point is we've scheduled all home games at away those opponents. So in other words, Hampton Bays, Center Moriches, Glen, and there's one other team, Bayport. All of those will be at there, with the exception of Glen. I got a neutral field. We don't want to go back to that field this year
Okay.
for obvious reasons.
Is there any possibility that we could maybe use the Sharks field up in Defense Hill? That was resodded, re-sprinkled,
Yeah, I went up there with Coach,
Okay,
and
no
we
good.
both, looking
Okay.
at it, just decided that it's probably best off we don't play up there. And I think seating too, there was just a lot of issues other than just the field.
Okay.
Okay.
Any talk about using Dowling for our home games? Would that be a possibility? Would that be too much cost, or?
I think the cost, because they don't have lines on their field, and somebody did suggest we line their field, but I don't feel that's the most cost-effective way to go.
Thank you, Mark.
You're
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have consensus on the turf and the bids?
Yes.
Well, can we fill in the resolution?
Yes.
We need to say the vendor, the amounts. You should have the resolution.
Okay.
Do I have that in front of me, Janice? I'm not too sure.
We should have it here, Jess?
No, not a hard copy, I'm sorry, I should have.
on here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's under old business, the turf field.
Mhm. All right, so we're just gonna fill this in as we go, Janice?
Yeah,
Name-
just let me know. So-
Okay.
So the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth whereas, so we have to have recommended which vendor?
Was laser, wasn't it?
Laser Industries.
Laser Industries.
Okay, so the base bid is $1,446,000. And then we're gonna go with all those add alternates from Laser as well, too, right? So,
1, 2, 3, 4, and 7, I believe, right?
okay, so number 1 is 24,000. 2 is $1.
Right.
3 is 20,000. 4 is 204,000. And 7 is 15,000. So, you have a total? Okay. So a total cost of,
1709001. The base bid of 1446000. 6000.
This is 021.
And the alternate numbers and the total amount is 260.
well, the add offers are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7.
Find it someplace allegedly.
7, yes.
And the total amount.
This says 21, this says 21.
So wait a second. This one. This one here. It's 117.
1,709,001.
Okay. And this is going to be 1,446,000.
This is doing the 63,000.
Right? You agree with me? This is saying 021. This is 021, so that has to be 022.
I gave you the total.
When they get this stuff.
Science labs, that's going to be PBS and parking.
So you could invite Derek up.
Okay.
Jan, I think we have to just change the, if you want, you can let the community know that we're sending out a postcard size information update
No,
on
I did fix it.
where to find information.
This is 22.
That, you guys are talking about the projects in response to community.
I just wanted to-
It's always good to check.
I can't download it, that packet won't download.
Right. But it's 15,000.
Okay.
It's not the living.
1,709,000.
Rob, you might also want to point out that all of these photographs and information can be found online.
Total number of the ad alternates.
Oh, just for the ad alternates.
That's on the resolution.
I'm sorry?
That's on the resolution.
The base bid.
Total cost of 1,709. Then you get the base bid, then you get the ad alternate total. The sum of these two, then you get the value.
Oh, okay.
That's how I think it is.
Yep, yep.
Laser Industries.
John, do you want to read that, or we can read that later to the,
No, we should read it for the
okay,
public.
okay.
Where is the- Okay, so we have Resolution 15-16-022, Turf Field Installation Bid Award. Whereas BBS Architects and Engineers, PC, solicited bids on behalf of the district from 3 vendors for turf field installation at the Shoreham-Wading River High School related to the January 13th, 2015 voter-approved capital projects. And whereas a request for bids was advertised for turf field installation at the Shoreham-Wading River High School in our 2 official newspapers and opened on July 22nd, 2015 at 10 a.m. And whereas such bids have been reviewed by the Director of Plant Facilities 3, BBS Architects and Engineers, PC, and Park East Construction Corporation. And whereas the District of Facilities 3, BBS Architects and Engineers, PC, and Park East Construction Corporation have recommended award to the lowest responsible vendor meeting the specifications. And whereas the Director of Facilities 3, BBS Architects and Engineers, PC, and Park East Construction Corporation have recommended Laser Industries as the awarded vendor at a cost of $1,446,000 for the base bid. And whereas the Board of Education for the Shoreham-Wading River Central School District desires to add the following add alternates to the base bid submitted by Laser Industries. Add alternate GC 1.1, sewn-in Wildcats lettering in both football field end zones, cost $24,000. Add alternate GC 1.2, sewn-in Thomas Cutinella Memorial Field lettering on both sides of the football field, cost $1. Add alternate GC 1.3, additional sideline ball containment safety netting, cost $20,000. Add alternate GC 1.4, an organic infill system and shock pad in lieu of the specified SWR crumb rubber and sand infill, $204,000. Add alternate GC 1.7, 2 fiber type synthetic turf system with pile height 2.5 inches, $15,000. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Shoreham-Wading River Central School District awards the proposal for turf field installation at the Shoreham-Wading River High School related to the January 13, 2015 voter-approved capital projects to the below vendor at a cost of $1,709,001, base bid of $1,446,000, and add alternates numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7 in the total amount of $263,001 to Laser Industries. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education directs the school attorney to prepare appropriate contract documentation for such award, and be it further resolved that the President of the Board is authorized to sign a contract associated with said bid award.
Can we make a motion right now to approve this?
Yes.
All right, can we get a motion to approve bid number 1516-021?
022.
022, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Wait,
02.
I'm sorry, my computer went off.
You ready, Janice?
Yes.
Can we get a motion to approve resolution 1516-022? Sean, 1, Mike, 2, all in favor? Okay, 4-0. Okay, next up is the updates on the science lab renovations, tennis court, and high school roofs.
Pictures online.
Okay, and all the, just so the residents know, all the pictures that you'll see here are all online on the high school website, on the district website.
All right. As stated, this is an update on the science room renovations, the tennis courts, and the roof reconstruction, starting with the science. These are the activities that were occurring during the month of July, with the percentages that they're currently complete. These tasks will be ongoing for the duration of the projects until 100% complete across the board. Projected for all areas to be completed before September, substantially complete before September, except for the elevator addition. The elevator addition got a little postponed, and the projected date for the completion on the elevator is the end of October. These are the activities that are going to be occurring during the month of August. This is the area that started first. This is Area A, the first floor earth science rooms. The picture to the bottom right is where we were in June. The next pictures will show where we are currently. So they started to install ceilings, casework, flooring. This is Area B, lower level science rooms. Again, the bottom right is where we were in the month of June. And this is where they are currently. This area C, lower level bathrooms. Area D and L, the elevator. The intent with the elevator is to have the complete shaft built, painted, the terrazzo floor installed. The only thing that's going to be missing for the month of September is the elevator itself, which takes approximately a month to construct. Area E, first floor chemistry, bottom right, where we were in June, and current day. Area J, second floor planned classrooms. Area K. And Area M. This is the roof project. Started last month. It's been a little hampered by the weather, but they are scheduled to complete everything short of the metal coping before September. The white portion of the roof is the new roof. Tennis courts also started in June, projected to finish in September. This is before they started, and this is where we are currently. That concludes it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Is there going to be an issue with, because athletics, kids will start coming back for athletics when, do you know? Like practices and stuff?
You want to join Derek? Mark?
Football starts the 17th, and every other sport's the week later, 24th.
Is there
of
going to be an
August.
issue with kids in the building or any hazards with, kids walking around?
There shouldn't be, because this end of the building, as far as the locker rooms and whatnot, where they're going to be is not
Okay.
being worked on,
All
so
right,
we
just
should
a
be fine.
question.
Yeah.
All right, great, thanks.
We'll also make any provisions necessary to accommodate the children coming back.
Perfect, thank you.
I have just one question, if I may. There was some concern in the past with the tennis courts about a retaining wall, the possibility this reconstruction process may cause some damage to that. Is that taking place, or any
Can't
expectation?
hear you, Mike.
I'm sorry. Let me repeat my question, sir? Yeah, there was some concern about the retaining wall by the tennis courts, that once we start tearing up the old ones and repairing for the new ones, that wall may start to deteriorate. Have you guys experienced any of that?
Right now, the wall is stable and
Okay.
there's no issues with it at this point. So, right
Okay.
now, I don't see any issues.
Great, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'll just say something real quick. I had the opportunity about 2 weeks ago to get the guided tour of everything going on, and I just took the tour of the high school, not the other schools, and it's amazing how much work is being done and what's getting done. It's a credit to you guys. We appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. So thank you for what that's worth, but thank you a lot.
Yeah, it's nice to see these projected end dates that are actually before the kids come back now. We're deeply appreciative of that.
Yeah. It's very impressive how quickly they're getting done, too.
Yeah, you guys have a very impressive torch, I have to say.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, next is the review of the elementary schools, building and site plans. Miller Ave.
This review is, Ken and Mike, do you want to, this is to review the work at the last meeting with more of an emphasis on the financing of these two projects and what the choices are that the board is making.
Yeah, as Dr. Cohen explained, our slides basically remain the same from our previous presentation. We may have even reduced them a little bit so that the focus can be on the cost for some of the add alternate discussions and other items. So this is the overall site plan for the Miller Avenue School. I'll just go through it quickly. The yellow highlights the area of new construction, and the gray illustrates the new parking configurations, bus loops, parent drop-off, and visitor and staff parking. In the rear is the asphalt play area, and in the far back is the area of the existing grass and ball fields to remain. Next slide illustrates the overall building plan. The area in yellow again represents the area of the new addition. Area of green represents interior reconstruction for new classrooms, an office, art storage, and a conference room. The area in red illustrates renovation in the library, which will include new furniture, new flooring, new paint, kind of a facelift to that space. And the blue illustrates the proposed add alternate for single occupancy, faculty, bathrooms, handicap accessible. The next item is the cost comparisons, and I'll have Derek elaborate on that.
Yeah, let's leave that slide up for a while.
This is color-coded to match BBS's drawings. I think I'm touching it.
Yeah, I think it can't be on the slideshow function. It's got to be on the slide-by-slide version.
It's doing it on its own. So there's, thanks, Mike.
Let's talk about our technology projects.
Okay. The color coding to the left is matches BBS's drawings for areas. The first column is the original construction budget plus the 5% design contingency included. The second column to the right is Park East Construction's estimates for the areas. As you go across, we carried all the numbers across and created a variance to the far right. The bottom of the variance is the total that we believe the project is under budget. With accepting all the add alternates and the additional areas, we still feel that you could be under budget by $194,000. If you look down to the bottom left of the sheet, that indicates your other contingencies that are built into the project that should not be required for this project.
But Derek, this also means that the $4 million up top, we don't have any estimates of what the each part of that $4 million is going to come in at, right?
For the capital projects related to that $4 million, we
Right.
carried the bond budget number.
Right. So does that mean you have not had an opportunity to go and analyze each one of those?
No,
Yes.
those weren't individually analyzed.
So that 194,000 represents the estimate for the additions and site work, but not for the capital projects part, because we don't know that yet? Is that right?
Can you say that one more time?
The 194,000 that we think we're coming under budget
Yes.
is for the additions and site work, but not necessarily for the capital projects, because we don't know what the variance is on those
Correct.
projects,
We
right?
didn't, we just carried the bond number
Right.
for those projects. So that is strictly related to the additions, the renovations, the library, and the ad alternate for the bathrooms, relative to the number that was in the bond for those projects.
So this means the additional construction, as well as the library renovation, the creation of an additional adult bathroom, and other renovations of existing classrooms. Park East believes that we can do that work, given current estimates, at a little less than $200,000, less than what was budgeted for. We don't know yet for the other half of the project, but these are the major revisions in the original projects we've talked about, and obviously we think that you should consider them as improvements, and we can make those improvements under budget.
And once those drawings are created and sent to SED, while they're being reviewed by SED, we will be estimating the capital projects and vet that number as well.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move on to Wading River School. Again, this is the overall site plan for the Wading River School. The area in yellow represents the new addition, the area of new construction, and the area in gray represents site improvements for parent drop-off, bus drop-off, asphalt play areas, and service access to the new addition in the rear also. And this also represents the existing baseball field and the ability to stripe out a reduced size soccer field. This is the overall floor plan. Again, the area in yellow represents the area of new construction. We have highlighted that small sliver of orange, which represents that increase in classroom square footage, okay? The area in green represents the bond-related interior renovations for 10 classrooms. And then the area in blue was what we presented last week for most recent requested interior alterations for small group instruction and larger music spaces. Those are represented by two different colors, which also correlate back to Derek's estimate. Any questions on that floor plan? All right.
Okay, again, this runs in a similar fashion as the other estimates. It's color-coded to match BBS's plans. The top green area is the interior alterations. Again, we carried the capital projects across, and we will estimate those once they're submitted to SED. Then we have the additions. We have the additional square footage, the site work, add alternate 1 and add alternate 2 for the music suite. If all those items were selected, we project the project to be over budget by $660,000 to the bottom right. Bottom left, you have the contingencies associated with the project.
Looks good.
Based upon what we have now, we didn't budget enough as far as the bond goes for this building. We're still $660,000 behind.
If you select all areas,
Right,
even the
okay.
added areas, we project it to be over budget by $660. There are contingencies that have not been calculated into this,
Mhm.
which could be utilized,
Okay.
as well as the savings from Miller Ave that we project to be under budget,
Gotcha.
as well as their contingencies as well, which we project wouldn't be utilized for that project.
What's important to remember too is that the areas in blue were not part of the initial bond scope.
Right.
So any costs associated with those above and beyond the initial budget.
Gotcha.
And also during the bidding process, those would be ad alternates as listed, and you have the opportunity at the time of award to select or not select those items.
Right, just like the turf field.
Exactly like the
Right.
turf field.
All right, so we would just go to bid, put all these things on it, and then we pick what we wanted to do.
Correct.
Okay, great. You guys have any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, this is the last slide that we have. We had forwarded this information to the district a couple weeks ago, which illustrates the site plan for Miller Avenue and illustrates areas, and this is based on information provided by the surveyor. And the areas in red indicate what's considered encroachments, where there's adjacent neighbors might have fences on your property or gates onto your property. So we have sent this information over to the district. I believe they have sent it to their council for review. So we await further clarification on how to
Excuse me,
address some of these
every one of those
concerns.
areas in red, there's a slight deviation in the property line based on,
Not in the property line. It means there might be a fence or a shed or a retaining wall or some form of construction on your property,
okay.
On the district's property.
on the district's property.
Right, we just, to note, we just got this information today, this diagram today. So we haven't had time to really digest this information and make an informed decision on how to progress. You guys have any thoughts?
The obvious thing would go through whatever maps we have of this, the boundary lines per se, and see where we are, what the deviation is. Or do you guys already know how much of the deviation there is at the line itself, based on these given areas?